Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session designed to give non-chemical or non-substance solutions to dealing with stress, overwhelm, and anxiety. And I was working with a client that occasionally in the past felt that they needed to use weed or vaping to help deal with certain emotional triggers. And they didn't really want to keep doing that. They felt that it would be an impediment to them becoming the best version of themselves. And the problem with relying on substances to regulate your emotions is that typically creates an addictive cycle, because you can build beliefs around these substances. There are many people, for example, that it's not possible for them to enjoy social situations without alcohol. There are people that believe that they can't deal with a stressful day without marijuana. There are people that believe that they can't really, let's say, escape certain heavy, overwhelming emotions without other drugs. And when you believe these things, which aren't true, but they can feel like they're true, and they become routines and just what you do in a situation, become second nature for a lot of people. You know, for example, if you're in a very hot room, it might be second nature to open a window or switch the air conditioning on or take off a layer of clothing. For many people, substances are just second nature. They feel a certain way, and they're going to take that substance to regulate their emotion. What this hypnosis session is designed to do is to introduce psychological or physical coping strategies that don't require any kind of chemical or substances to regulate emotions. And some of these things are what you focus on, or your posture, or your physiological responses in terms of muscle tension, or your breathing rate. And we live at a time where there has never been so much research to support some of these things that cultures have known for thousands of years. There is a reason, for example, that almost every culture has some form of thing like yoga or stretching or meditation, because people intuitively know that when you change your breathing rate and you change your focus and you change your body movements, it has a powerful and profound impact on your body. And yet, fairly recently, over the last 100 years or so, big pharmaceutical companies have come in and figured out that by managing symptoms, it can create this reliance on a profitable pill or potion that can solve a problem that something else can already do. The problem is that we are now conditioned as a society to follow the medical model blindly, even when there are negative side effects and it can cause problems. Drink, food, and drugs can be prescription or recreational, are generally how people cope with difficult emotions. But there are other ways of dealing with those difficult emotions, and this session is designed to create new ways of thinking about how to regulate your own emotional states. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. That's it. And relax those eyelids, exhale that tension, and as you breathe in a wonderful feeling of calm relaxation, and give permission to exhale anything that is holding you back. Any worries, any guilt, any shame, any tension. Give permission to let go, so that as you breathe in everything that represents powerful resources for you. Strength, clarity, determination, motivation, forgiveness. Just breathe it all in. Exhale anything that is blocking you from living your life at your absolute best. Any of those bottlenecks that are impeding your ability to live out your mission, your purpose. Anything stopping you from firing on all cylinders, just feel that it's fine to let that go. So you can breathe in and breathe out, and feel with each and every breath you're becoming more and more resourceful. That's it. Scan your body for any clues of tension. Maybe your forehead, your jaw, neck, or your shoulders. And just allow it to be released. That breath by breath, you're able to release that tension. Eyelids getting heavier and heavier. A wave of relaxation flowing from the top of your body all the way down. That's it. Feel the heaviness of those eyelids. And feel how good it feels to imagine yawning. And sometimes a yawn has that strange ability that when you see someone else yawning, you feel a desire to yawn. But a yawn has an inbuilt sigh. Whenever you think about yawning, it has that innate ability to release muscle tension. And you always have a long breath out. So maybe a yawn is giving you a clue as to how to regulate your emotions whenever you need to. But right now, let's go to a place where your mind is already linked to wonderful, resourceful emotions. Keep your physical body exactly where it is and allow your mind and imagination to wander back to a memory. Maybe a recent memory. Imagine being on a boat and maybe seeing the Arctic waters. Maybe there are sensory experiences that you don't normally encounter. The freshness of the air, colors you wouldn't normally notice, the temperature, a breeze, the sensation on your skin. And just imagine being there in that thought, breathing in and breathing out. And imagine in this moment the clouds part. And I want you to see the blueness of the skies. Imagine looking around and somewhere you see a bright, vibrant rainbow. And what if the rainbow represented 7 colors you could see, but infinite waves of things that you can't even perceive? And what if each color represented an emotional resource that is useful for you? And imagine breathing in all the colors of that rainbow. So all those resources now belong inside you. And then imagine seeing an iceberg floating in the water. But this is no ordinary iceberg. This is an iceberg of gratitude. And as you look at the bit that you can see above the surface of the water, I want you to think of those things that you are grateful for. Maybe the freedom you have in your life. Maybe the health, the vitality, the choices, the decisions you can make. Or maybe it's people. People that add value to your life. Have your back, are there for you, support you, encourage you, understand you. And maybe you can create an image in your imagination of the faces of those people that your life is better because they're in it. And as you think about their faces and all the wonderful things that are positive in your life, just place your hand on your heart and connect with that feeling of gratitude. Realizing that in this place, you are immune from overwhelm and stress. Because when your life is full of gratitude, there is no room for stress and anxiety and overwhelm to creep in. And whatever gratitude you feel in this moment, accept the suggestion that this is just the tip of an iceberg. That there is infinitely more gratitude available, and you can find it just by thinking of what are you happy for in your life, or what would you be unhappy if that thing wasn't there. People aren't grateful for their eyes, but how much would you want to see again if you lost your sight? People aren't grateful for their toes. But there are people that exist in the world without toes. And I wonder how good you could get at accessing a state of gratitude for the tiniest of things. A shower in the morning, breathing in fresh air. Taking a single breath could be a source of powerful gratitude. As you breathe in and breathe out, just relax your hand, your arm, that's it. And I want you to imagine you're now finding land in this picturesque part of the world, breathing in fresh air. And I want you to imagine for some reason there is the most comfortable chair ever created there in nature, and you can just rest and relax as you open your mind to new ideas that can help you achieve what you want to achieve, but not need substances in order to do it. What if the things that can regulate your emotion are things that already exist in nature? Just imagine that every time you feel a wave of emotion that is unuseful, you could take a double breath in and then release it with a long sigh. And just try that now. 2 deep breaths in and then releasing that with a long sigh, feeling the weight of stress just melt away. What if, when anger starts to bubble up, you could tense every muscle or just certain muscles in your body, and then as you exhale, release the tension along with the anger? What if the moment you sense overwhelm, you could remind yourself that you have the power to change your emotional state with just a deep breath? That every time you place a hand over your heart and bring to mind those things you're grateful for, you can let gratitude wash over and dilute any other emotion. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a dial or a gauge, the kind of things you might find in the control room of a big cruise ship. And imagine that dial in your mind, and whenever emotions get intense, just visualize turning that dial down to a more manageable level. Or imagine a protective bubble around you, like a force field filtering out any negative emotions and only letting in positivity. I want you to think of a specific memory where you felt pure joy, and step into that moment of pure joy and let that feeling radiate through your body, replacing and displacing any negative emotions. And what if that feeling of pure joy could also be a reason to be grateful? And you can access this whenever you put a hand on your heart and recall that memory. You are in control of your emotions, and you can choose peace and calm. But you exist in life, in world, where people will try and manipulate you through your emotions, but now you have the tools to keep yourself protected and safe. That if you feel things start to bubble up, you can turn that dial down, you can access different feelings, you could take a long breath in and sigh all the way out. To be calm and composed even when other people would be triggered and provoked. You can take regular breaks throughout the day to check in with yourself and just recalibrate your emotional state just by breathing in and letting go of that tension, stress, or overwhelm. And you don't have to ignore those problems or details in your life. If there's things that need to be solved, you can write those things down, and then when the time is right, think about how to solve those problems and make your life better. That whenever you imagine a peaceful place like a beach, the sea, a forest, you can, just like you are now, mentally transport yourself there. You can use imagination as a form of escapism. You don't need substances of any kind, because you can remind yourself that emotions are temporary, and just like clouds, they will pass. And sometimes, depending on the circumstances, you can ground yourself just by feeling your feet on the floor, touching a nearby object, seeing something in nature, just to bring you back to that present moment. Or when overthinking takes hold, you could use positive distraction. Imagine how hard it would be to get worked up about something that someone said or did, while simultaneously counting backwards from 100, or reciting the alphabet in a silly accent. The harder you try to be upset, the more you find it's impossible to do so. What if mindfulness was your friend, allowing you to sit with the emotion, lean into the emotion, and just like friends, there's no judgment from you to you, and you can sit with the emotions, letting them flow through you, treating them as a source of wisdom and insight. And sometimes all it takes to deal with a really intense emotion is to slow your breathing and count to 10. And in doing so, with those long breaths out, you slow things down just enough to realize that this too shall pass. In moments of intense emotion, reflect on what's good in your life and allow that emotion to just dissolve or float away. No one can stop you tensing your muscles and relaxing them. You can do it all at the same time, or you could focus on specific muscles. Tensing a muscle group and then releasing it, and each time feeling more and more deeply relaxed. And let's try that now. Just increase the tension in your jaw or your arms. Breathe in and then release that tension on the outward breath. And that's all it would take to release tension whenever you need to. And when you take those 2 deep breaths in and a long sigh out, it will be impossible for you not to notice that you're activating your diaphragm and you're breathing not from your chest but deep in your belly. And imagine each of those belly breaths, those diaphragmatic breaths, clearing away any emotional fog. By leaning into your emotions, you become stronger and wiser. At any point in time, you can visualize a calm river, and you can imagine your emotions as leaves floating on its surface, coming and going without affecting the river's flow. And what if by having a sip of water you could feel grateful? By having a breath you could feel grateful? By thinking of things like adversity you've overcome in the past, you could feel grateful? Then at any point in time, you could take a moment to reflect on the good in your life, letting it uplift your spirit. And you could imagine positive thoughts as the equivalent of eating healthy food. That by being healthy, it can prevent certain illnesses from taking root. By giving your mind lots of nutritional thoughts and emotions, it boosts your immune system to defend you against overwhelm and stress and anxiety, giving you a wonderful feeling of resilience that you can handle this. You've handled worse in the past and you can handle this. And sometimes that's all it takes to deal with overwhelm. Making the evaluation that you can handle it, because you can. Imagine leaving that comfortable chair in that incredible nature. And I want you to imagine you're going to take a swim in the ice cold water, and it washes away anything from the past that no longer serves you. Any shame, guilt, embarrassment, any regrets or mistakes of the past, just imagine feeling that they're all washed away. You can keep the wisdom, but the baggage of the past is no longer attached to you. And as you re-emerge from that cold water, feel refreshed, invigorated, with a new lease of life, ready for anything. As you feel like you can return to the present with new ways of thinking, new strategies, feeling you can handle it. Returning to the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, tapping into that wonderful feeling of resourcefulness as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.